So I'm Jennifer Bonenfant. I'm a Microsoft partner. I'm also a CPA and have been on all sides of Microsoft. I've been on product management. I'm now on the consultant side and on the partner side. And I'm also been on the consumer side where I've been the purchaser and served as a CFO or in other financial leadership roles, purchasing technology, implementing technology, and then using technology along the way. So we're going to spend some time today talking about the trends in technology and how you can make the most of your Microsoft licensing, as well as leveraging the current trends that's happening around Microsoft. So I would be remiss if I didn't start by talking about the, I'll move over here, talking about, make sure my little clicker's working, not me, talking about Copilot and the whole stack. When we talk about Microsoft, we no longer talk about it in terms of one single product. Oh, I use Excel. Oh, I use Word. Now the trend is for this, all of the Microsoft stack is what we'll refer to it as, to be hyper-connected. So when I'm in Outlook, I may be able to see a customer from Business Central. Or if I'm in Excel, I may be able to send information over to Power BI. And it's that interoperability that is making us more efficient. It's supporting our onboarding and adoption of AI. And it's also helping our teams just get more done. So that becomes really important as we begin this conversation of looking at trends across Microsoft. So you see here, you kind of have different levels of technology depending on what the role is, what the use is, and where we are sitting within our organizations. If we take that just a little bit more, you can also take it and say, hey, let's look at what those roles are across that organization. And what are those transformation drivers, right? And when we think about what's driving our innovation, it's how do we optimize our business processes? How do we stay in control of our data? How do we accelerate employee productivity and creativity, right? And how do we foster that across our broader organization? Because not everyone comes to our organization with deep technical skills. We don't necessarily want everybody to come with the same skill set. So how do we foster that person in their role at your organization? How do we foster them to become really effective and the best professional, providing the most value to your organization? Well, we give them the right tools. We give those as hyper-connected tools across the Microsoft stack to get their job done efficiently. And so you can see the results of that. We're going to accelerate that employee productivity. We're going to optimize our business processes. That could be optimizing with AI, or it could just be optimizing with more efficient processes and workflow. And then also staying in control of your data, knowing what your users have access to, having full visibility of that in one spot, being able to control your users based on their role, their group, and their engagement across your organization, making those policies visible, transparent, and comprehensive across your organization. On to the next slide here. As we start to transition, let's take a look about Copilot. So Copilot is Microsoft's branded AI, and Copilot isn't just one thing. So Copilot enables us to have chats. So we can have chats with Copilot, and it can provide back information. I can provide a prompt. How do I enter a purchase invoice in Business Central? And it's going to send me back details specific to how to do it, what the fields are, and it's also going to annotate it based on the underlying learn resources at Microsoft. So when we think about that, and we think about that in terms of AI, you know, we're looking at SMB leaders saying they believe that AI adoption is going to be important. It's going to help to keep them competitive, but there's a lot of questions around it still. They want to bring their own users to work, right? To that AI capability to work. So that could be that chat bot, right? Being able to ask questions, how do I do my task more efficiently? This becomes a monitoring situation, right? Because Copilot and these chats do consume and it can have costs to your organization that you need to be aware of. So monitoring that activity across your users, setting guardrails, it become important. And then we have 50% of SMB users. So that's our group here that are reluctant to admitting using AI in their tasks, right? So yes, they want to do it. Yes, they see value, but we're not ready to make the deep dive yet. That's okay, because I think we're early on in this iterative process where we can grow our knowledge and our comfort with AI and really start to leverage that to really start the conversation and just go and start moving forward on our own cadence and on our own timeline. We're going to take a look at this Microsoft 365 experience, and this is that unification I was talking about. So of course we have Copilot at the top. So Copilot's going to be infused and embedded in every app across the Microsoft stack. And we see Copilot in 365 in Word, in PowerPoint, in Power BI, across your teams, in SharePoint, in Excel, in your ERP, in your CRM. I could rattle on a whole bunch of more acronyms. But that's not really going to help us here if we don't have a positive user experience and know what that's doing. So Microsoft has really created security around that and it created specific user stories for each one of these. So if I'm in Outlook, maybe a Copilot is going through, it's helping me to summarize my Outlook at calendar activities. It's helping me summarize my emails. Maybe it's putting emails into the appropriate bucket, or, et cetera. So these become things that we can now leverage AI to do in our day-to-day tasks that are low burden. They are easy to put in place, and then that increases our knowledge that then we can move forward with more advanced uses of those agents and Copilot. When we think about Copilot, and I had said that Copilot, I'm out. I got to log back in. I do this all the time. I just talk to myself. Doesn't even faze me anymore. It's so weird. Okay, we're back on. Okay, so you can see that this is what Copilot looks like, right? So Copilot isn't the same to everyone or to every user. Copilot could be your trusted assistant. That Copilot, that's what I use in my consulting practice. When a customer has a question, I'll let you in on a secret, I go ask Copilot. And I don't ask Copilot because I don't know the answer deeply, right? Or I question my response. But man, it gives me an annotated response that is accurate, that I can review, that I can add to. It's much more efficient. It reduces my response time. And so it makes me a better consultant because I'm able to provide more details and better guidance to my customers. And that's how I'm using Copilot a lot, as that kind of early level assistant, helping me to keep on track, respond to my customers in a timely manner, provide accurate information. Copilot as a team, right, is helping my team work together, helping us organize our tasks, helping us organize our files and our day-to-day work. So that would be an idea of Copilot as a team member. And then we have Copilot agents, and that's what you're hearing on the news, right? This idea that Copilot is going to take everybody's jobs away. Well, not really, right? Copilot agents are going out and doing those mundane tasks, those routine tasks that we can program and train a bot to do. Those routine tasks then can be stacked, right, in order to go out and do meaningful work for our organizations. The idea behind Copilot and these agents is to reduce the level of mundane work so that our employees can add real value to our organizations. Now, you guys might push back on that a little bit, and that's okay. That's part of the current conversation, though, right? I see this all the time. We have an aging workforce in the clerical staff. And I'm sure if I asked a question here today, who has a hard time finding an AP clerk? Every one of you guys are going to raise your hand because That is a job that's becoming obsolete. It's becoming obsolete because of the level of automation that we can add to that invoice processing. Right now, we can have our teams more involved. We can have agents processing the actual paper flow, creating the documents in our financial systems for review and for processing. Doesn't mean we don't have valuable work for those for our team to do. It just gives them more time to get out of the file, paper, stamp, whatever, staple processes of the olden days, right? These agents are replacing that manual labor and enabling our employees to really have meaningful work and contribute more to our organizations. And I do believe that. I've seen that. I've seen that the rollout of different agents, and I do believe that. So, this is kind of that Copilot as your personal assistant, really becoming kind of from just that chat, becoming more outcome oriented, proactive, personalized. My chat and my Copilot knows that I only am asking about Microsoft products. Don't tell me anything about NetSuite because I don't want to see it, right? And so, and that's fine. It becomes personal to me though, based on my interactions with Copilot over time. So it starts to really understand what my role is in my organization and what I'm trying to accomplish, giving me a better experience and really building and helping me to become more efficient. This is the idea of Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is a licensed Copilot. So you can have Copilot Tap, but Microsoft is actually selling a license for Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you have Microsoft licensing for your family or home, you already get this agent and this Copilot for free in your family plan. What this does is it is embedded in Excel, in Word, in Outlook, in those apps that you use most frequently, right? It's also embedded in Teams and some of those other business applications as well. But what it's allowing us to do now is create more complex scenarios in Excel. Hey, take this data set and I want to see this pivot table, build this for me. Based on a series of commands, I can elevate my use of Excel in a way that would give me better results. That maybe could even surpass my own skill set. So this idea of a licensed Copilot is just expanding our use of those Microsoft-based products, Word, Excel, etc. Adding value, making us more efficient, and also leveraging better technology across. Over there on the end, you're going to see this idea of Copilot Studio. This is an advanced application. Copilot Studio is enabling our users to really think and build their own agents. It's very cool, right? And so you have to have some knowledge to leverage Copilot Studio. But it's really creating the foundation for our organizations to build out their own AI, their own policies, their own governance, as well as their own agents to support their work and their compliance across their use of AI. We know that organizations globally are adopting Copilot and AI. And if you haven't yet, you're not alone, right? And the purpose of this is to really leverage, this conversation is really to leverage your own Microsoft licensing. And so this is just a sample of partners and customers across Microsoft that are leveraging the tools that we just talked about, right? Copilot in Excel, Copilot in Outlook, Copilot in, across teams, really to empower their teams, offer them the assistance, the teams, the agents they need to add more value and drive value across their organization. So these are real stories, right? With real people behind them using AI in a constructive, productive method. The essentials for Copilot, regardless of how you're going to adopt or use, or even regardless of your pace. You need leadership. You need thought leadership and you need direction from the top to really understand how to best roll out, use, and add those guardrails I keep talking about around your organization's use of AI and the different tools that are available, whether that's Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever application that you're using for your use of AI. Change management. We could have a whole session on change management. People are reluctant to change, right? This is my task. I print checks on Friday. I'm not going to do anything different, right? And so change becomes difficult, and we need to manage that across our organizations. But it's that change that moves our organization forward. And how do we think about those changes, and how do we get past those humps in the road so that we can be competitive and have the competitive advantage for our organizations? And then just tech readiness. Your participation in this session today, your investment in your knowledge of Microsoft and of technology, staying current on trends, is a great first step, right? Being tech aware is very important. Be curious around technology. Doesn't mean you have to be a technology expert. I will tell you that my personal story is this. I'm a CPA. I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant first. Happen to be pretty good at technology. And I happen to have implemented in a bunch of places, even over at Wesleyan Technology. Seems like every time I landed as a controller or CFO, it seemed like we were always purchasing a new ERP and implementing something new. So, you learn and build on that. What's your tech readiness across your operation, not just your technical team, right? How are you adopting? How are you leveraging these new tools? What does your licensing look like? So Microsoft offers different types of licensing. The typical type of licensing is your enterprise licensing that will determine if you have Teams, that will determine if you have SharePoint, Outlook, Word, what levels of interaction you have with that technology. I'll share with you this free tip. So if you go to Learn, Microsoft.Learn, you will have a whole platform that you can provide to your staff training for free. This includes Microsoft certifications. It provides learning paths. It will provide video content, all free to any person curious that's willing to take the time and make the investment in themselves. These learning paths are amazing, and they are very digestible and consumable in small little packs, right? They step you through the whole process. They lay out a great guideline. That is my free tip for today, because that's where I go also when I'm training a user on how to do something. Hey, how does Microsoft lay this out? What about Microsoft Learn? What can my users take from the learning and training that's available out there for free for them to use, so that they become better users of the technology that I may be implementing for their operation or organization? That tech readiness is for everyone across your organization, regardless of their role. You need to be tech ready. You need to have the appropriate skilling and resources to skilling. You also need to have the appropriate guardrails and policies in place. So we'll talk a little bit about that here. When we talk about security and compliance in just a second. This slide here is talking more about tech readiness also. What does your organization's tech stack look like? We know you're not just using Microsoft. What else are you using? Are you using GitHub? Are you connected with AWS? Are you using MailChimp if you're in marketing? What are you using? How are they connecting? Back in the legacy days when everything was on-prem, and some of you may still have on-prem environments, and that's totally okay. You probably need to start taking a look at that, right? But in this cloud environment with APIs and modern connectivity, the day of the custom connection, the integration, a lot of that has gone away, making it much more affordable and much more efficient to connect data across your organization. We started, as a reminder, this conversation with that, really looking across the Microsoft stack and how things work together to really improve your use of technology. These connectors do the same thing. They connect your Microsoft resources to resources across your operations, whether that's MailChimp up there at the top or other areas. Perhaps it's payroll, perhaps it's your cloud storage, your virtual tables, or a number of other things. There are thousands of these connectors that enable Copilot to work and connect your organization more tightly across your operation. Then we're going to talk about security. And we're going to do that. Microsoft has invested millions in making sure that they are offering a secure, trusted solution. They are one of the most trusted brands on the market. You know their colors. You don't even have to see the little flag to know what people are talking about when you talk about Microsoft. With that comes an obligation. And so the way that they're thinking about Copilot and agents isn't allowing your information and your organization's trusted secrets to be shared, but rather to use AI across your own tenant or across your own space, limiting access, controlling and governing who has access to it, what access is coming in, what access is being included in those responses, and what access those agents have across your AI platform. So they spend a lot of time on security, compliance, and privacy. Now, I was recently speaking at Summit, which is Microsoft's largest user conference, and I had a whole session on audit. And then the product manager or owner for Business Central also spoke on compliance, audit, and security. And this is a really key focus. We know there are bad players. We know that there are players trying to get in. So Microsoft has offered and is offering solutions that are fully connected, and that creates a firewall protecting your information and your users. This idea of single sign-on is really important when we think about that. It's giving us that baseline, right? That multi-factor authentication and login. When I log in the morning, I log in, I have a little circle with my little face in it that says Jennifer at Keel. That gives me the access I need to do my day-to-day work. I'm not logging in multiple times. My login is following me all across the day, leaving a trail of what I've done for the day for my audit, right? You can see those visibility and those footprints across the organization that I'm leaving behind. This multi-factor authentication, I do recommend that you implement that as soon as you leave if you don't have that on now. Those are those little apps that give you the number and the name, and so that it just validates your users. Your Microsoft 365 user can log into phone, mobile devices, or any workstation as long as they have access to the internet. So that is great. And then having that extra security, that single sign-on, and that multi-factor authentication gives you the confidence that your users aren't exposing your information or you don't have bad players in your tenant. And so that becomes really important. When we move from those individual users, we look at that core kind of alignment, right? What are our sharing processes? Who has access to what? What endpoints are we giving and opening up to receive information from? And then when we think about kind of that best in class, when we move across that spectrum, what are we doing for telemetry to measure the volume of activity that's happening, to measure where people are going, what they're seeing, to detect non-compliant, also to provide that technical training so people are aware of what's happening across the environment and how to best protect your organization. So they've really done a very good job in laying out this technical security and helping us to make sure that we have the security that we need as we move forward and adopt AI. I'm going to start transitioning because I do want to make sure that you guys have a little bit of hands-on experience with some Microsoft products so you can see this full kind of comprehensive view. You can see how Copilot's been infused, and we can sort of touch the product a little bit more, and you can start to see it. This is not intended to be a sale of Microsoft, by the way. I don't even sell enterprise licensing, so don't call me. But this is more of those trends, right? People need insight of what's going on across their operation. And we see that in terms of financial insights. My specialty is financial ERP and CRM. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about that as a CPA, setting up financial operations, financial reporting, etc. But over the last 20 years of my career, and I've been in all kinds of different roles, I've seen the shift of the role of the CFO from being that accountant, kind of the gatekeeper, the budget keeper, maybe technology or HR reports up to that person, the kind of over there in the admin seat. And the shift has been real, and it's been fairly fast to move that CFO more towards the center of operations, right? That ERP now is more of a hub of activity, right? Giving more visibility, more control across the operation, really becoming more interactive in the success and driving success of that operation. We see that in terms of policies, right? Being able to review, have workflows, approval processing, security, to really be able to manage and secure our policies. If I'm on the sales side, we're seeing lots of deals where, we're managing our customers in our CRM, not just from a who are they and let's send them a Christmas card, but also just really deeply getting that 360-degree view of our customer in real time, knowing their preferences, knowing how they like to communicate, and really being able to leverage the tools, not just AI, in managing the deals and opportunities across our customer base. So we're going to kind of start to transition, and this slide kind of helps us to get there as we look at business outcomes of adopting the broader Microsoft stack, as well as Copilot. We're seeing that 60% are expressing more efficiency, right? They're able to review, transact, and complete faster. They have improved processes with better accuracy. There's less time at the end of the month closing because there's less errors. You're able to put things in real time, touch them once, you're kind of done. Sometimes we're not even touching it, right? Because the agent has taken it in for us and gone ahead and processed that, creating a repeatable process. And then, of course, time savings. We're seeing that across because we're not having to log into multiple solutions. We're not having to maintain those connections across multiple solutions and have downtime because our systems are down. I'm back to talking about integration. So the number one trend, and you'll hear me say this, is the world is getting flatter. Our ERP and CRM solutions that are driving our sales opportunities and financial reporting are becoming deeply integrated and rooted in our overall operation. You're going to see ERP solutions with native Excel, Power BI, Word, Outlook functionality. You're not going to have to go around your elbow to get to your thumb to get to a piece of information. That information is stored in one place and everything has access to that information. Back in the old days, and some of you guys still may be there, it used to be you pushed information all around. So if you had a sales transaction over here in operations, that got imported in over here, that got processed over here, it got pushed over here, and it was in 3 or 4 different locations, and you kind of had to snake it back all the way. But with APIs and this more hyper-connected environment, we're seeing that you have data in one spot, it becomes your source of truth, and then other pieces are able to interact and act with that. I'm going to show you a sample of that in real time here in just a second, of how Outlook is showing me information about my vendor. I've talked a lot about roles and using Copilot based on your role. Well, this is actually taking a look at the ERP. So Microsoft Business Central is the fastest growing ERP solution right now. There's over 50,000 organizations using it. And it is really rapidly expanding capabilities across our financial operations. And this becomes more of an enterprise play at this point because there's so much information. There's so much resources and functionality now in Business Central. If you have warehousing, if you have inventory, if you have customers, you're managing all of those things in one place now. It's all interoperable. I'm able to impact my warehouse or inventory in a single journal entry now, making all of that much more seamless and eliminating all this passing back and forth of data. So this enterprise play is helping us to become more efficient and effective across our roles. It's also helping us to find and build new roles and capabilities for our users. Now, many of you also have a remote workforce. I'm a remote user. When my husband moved his here for State Farm, I walked away from a great job that I loved in an office that I loved on a campus that I loved. But I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I knew I had some skills, and I began my consulting career in my attic over in Royal Links off of Airport Road. But just like even those days before COVID, I knew that I needed to be able to connect and I needed to be on the go, right? Whether that was a mobile device or phone or tablet, and now that's become the norm. Well, this idea of authentication, single sign-on, that Microsoft user experience now helps our users connect across any of their mobile devices, whether that's an Android or Apple phone, a tablet, laptop, their kid's laptop. We have that confidence in using mobility to be able to really get our work done where we're working or where our employees are working. It helps us to attract more, skilled workers as well across our organizations, especially if we're in remoter areas, maybe out in the county or in other places within Illinois. So this is where I'm going to jump off, and I'm going to say I'm just going to show a couple of concepts that we've talked about that interoperability, Copilot, and feature functionality. So we're going to come over here, and first of all, I'm going to show you just this idea of information being crossed across platforms, right? So we have here, we're looking at my Outlook box. I happen to get an email from a customer. I can see within a click that that customer is connected to our School of Fine Art. And if I go and I open that up, I can connect straight to my ERP. And it's going to give me the history of transactions related to that user. I'm going to be able to drill down. I can come in and see what's going on with that user and any payments. Now, I don't have any transactions with that vendor, so I haven't done anything with them. So maybe they're a customer. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this customer. And it's going to give me that information relative to the School of Fine Art that email's from. I can come in and I can see charts and information. I haven't left Outlook, by the way. I haven't used Copilot either. This is that embedded information being hyper-connected across all of my different tools in my Microsoft stack. So now I can come in, I posted 59 sales shipments. Let's see what that was. I can drill that and I can see exactly what they're ordering. So I can now have a conversation. If I'm going to go meet that customer, maybe I'm in sales, I can see their purchase history right here on the fly. Or before I respond, or the call, or however I'm communicating with that customer or that vendor, I'm able to be able to come in and review. And that's that idea, that modern solution being hyper connected. If I come over here, I can click back, go back out, and perhaps I want to take action, right? So if I want to come over and take an action, I can say, hey, I need to go ahead and create them a new sales order or a new purchase invoice. By the way, when I click on that, I can prepare a transaction and start the workflow right away. I didn't have to go log in. I didn't have to be an accountant. It's a very simple form. I'm able to go ahead, do my business, get it on my way. Efficient, effective, meeting our users where they're at, helping them meet based on their roles. So this is just an idea of Outlook being connected to our ERP solutions, giving a really high touch, more efficient experience to those users wherever they are out in the field. Excuse me real quick. Okay, so with that, I'm going to come over and we're going to take another little look. This is Power BI.
I haven't really talked about Power BI because Power BI is just another piece of the tool in our tool belt, right? And so this piece here gives us information from across our operation. This is a sample of a financial overview based on Business Central information, but it's gathering and listening across our operation to really be able to pull in meaningful information to this leadership team. You can see I'm not one trick pony over here. I can do a number of things in one view. And I can go and pull based on, financial information, or if I want to go down and look at detailed transactions, whatever the requirements are, I can come over here and impact what's available to be seen. If I want to filter, no problem. I can come in, I can add filters, I can go and look at for a specific period as a user and hide that and just print it. More ideas of this interoperability as well is this ability to go ahead and chat in Teams. Share this with a coworker in Teams. Ask specific questions. Really become engaged in the conversation around our financial transactions, not just as a flat document that I got emailed somewhere along the way that maybe I'll look at, maybe I don't. Other ideas here that kind of support this hyper connection, the ability to analyze in Excel. So I can take this and actually analyze it in Excel. It will open up Excel. And now I can use Excel familiarity tools, to do sums or formulas or pivot tables, whatever the case may be. But I'm going to be able to take this data from Power BI and extract it right into Excel, creating a powerful experience. I can also generate a PDF or a high formatted PowerPoint, right? Drop it right in for my board report or my management team. All in real time, all using your licensing, leveraging your investment in those licenses, and really making your user experience really positive and great. Other ideas here across, kind of across Power BI, and just for more demonstration of this, is if I have a question, I can come over and I can explore, right? And so this explore gives me a chance to ask questions or to evaluate data that's available in my data model. I can also ask Copilot a question. I need to see this variation, or what's the highest vendor, or ask in chat format, natural language questions about the data that's being presented. I can also set up reminders and alerts. I think this is the coolest thing. So I can actually set up an alert as a CFO. Hey, tell me when my cash balance is under $500,000. Tell me when my salaries are over budget. I need to know these things in real time. I don't even have to look at the report now. I've got these agents and Copilot Infusion looking and listening to my transactions, telling me the things that I've said are important to me because I know my role. I've set that up, and now I have support across our different tool sets pulling and telling me information. That isn't actually even Copilot, by the way. That's just something cool you can do in Power BI. But it's that idea of automation and leveraging your technology to get the work done specific to your role. And when you think about it in those terms, now you're going to start to maximize your investments in Microsoft. There's a whole lot of other things here in Power BI I can show you. You can send a subscription, so you can subscribe your users. You can send in Teams. You can have a Teams app for Power BI. Lots and lots of capability here, connecting your financial and operational activity with your users. The other thing I'll show you, just because this is where I spend a lot of my time, and I think this becomes really visible, is in our Business Central, our ERP solution. This is Microsoft's SMB ERP solution. I talked about all the capabilities that it had earlier. But Microsoft Business Central is a great tool for almost every organization, right? I have a very hard time finding operations that could not benefit from Business Central. And I'm not saying that as a pitch, actually, I'm saying that as a CPA. I implemented Business Central early at a major institution, and it was an early adopter at that time, and it met and exceeded our requirements then. They're still using the solution, and it's still meeting their requirements. Okay, so let's take a look a little bit at this. So when we're here in Business Central, you're going to see, oh, I've got a purchasing agent
right here at the top. I've got a sales order agent right here at the top. And what's that doing for me? That's that processing and intaking documents as they're being received, processing them in real time, making them available for people in roles to continue the workflow, make critical decisions, review, approve, pay, right? That idea of that automation, completing those repeatable, mundane tasks, enabling our employees to add more value to your organization. Now, when I think about functionality, I'm just going to scroll down so you can see. This is kind of hey, this is where my user needs to go, right? These are the common areas in the solution that my user goes to. Your user may have different profile and may actually go to different areas of the solution. Totally fine. It's user driven, user specific, providing that great user experience. I can come down here and see that I'm hyper connected, right? I can click a button and go see those 2 open invoices. I can come and look at what's happening. And as transactions fail or need more attention, technology is going to support me and bring that up to my attention now. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to read a bunch of reports. In this example, technology is supporting my awareness of an issue. These are all just graphical kind of cues to help us navigate to areas where we need to go, maybe even need to go take action. As I continue to scroll down, you're going to see this area of insights. This is my business area of insights. So these would be specific to my role as a CFO. I can have reports scheduled. I can have business performance trends here in these different boxes. I can see Power BI, and I can infuse and have embedded right here in my ERP. By the way, I'm only on the home page. Can you imagine what's deeper down in this thing? But down in here, I've got Power BI, right? We've looked at Power BI, and it's going to be available for us kind of in real time that we can go and do things with. I'm going to scroll on, and here it comes. I'll go back up to that after it loads. And then down here is more options for us to manage your operations. I'm going to track my favorite accounts. If I'm that CFO, I want to know where my cash balance is. I want to know where maybe my overall costs are compared to budget. And I can manage those accounts. I can manage my trial balance. I can manage job queues, multiple entities, etc. These all become kind of embedded opportunities for us to leverage technology and to become more efficient in our job. I'm just going to pick on one of these because you can see here so you can see that same idea. I'm going to go select that report. Now, when I do that here in Business Central and I'm in a demo environment, so it's just taking a minute to load, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going back out to that financial operation report that we just looked at, that we have our different notifications and alerts set on, that's getting distributed out across our teams and our organization. Those things are meaningful to us, and I just dropped my internet, so we'll just connect back up. But you can see that the value is there to be able to see your operation, take action, be efficient. We've got technology that's supporting our knowledge about what's going on, whether that's a little blue tile that turns red, or a notification in a Teams chat that automatically gets generated because our cash balances are running low. We're leveraging our technology across the Microsoft stack to be efficient, to be great in our roles, and help to leverage technology to even become better and add and deliver more value to the operations and the organizations we serve.